you're listening to there is a little sneak preview of the live set that we've been working on that is now done. The video is processed and it will be out tomorrow if you're interested in seeing. So yeah, it was a fun time. It ended up being interesting. I wish I had recorded a little earlier because I feel like I forgot a few of the things that we managed to come up with in the last stream, but that's okay. It was a good practice, good try, and I think it was pretty decent. So, but we're back to all this today. I have stripped all the cables out. I think I literally had 6 cables left and 1 module unused. That was it at the end of that live set. So that was pretty cool. I was pretty happy with that. You might notice that though, that I have a new module right here. Finally arrived. Thanks Canada Post for screwing that up royally. Anyway, at least it's not my TET that's gonna get here in like 3 decades, but yeah, so this is the WMD Axys. It is a very small stereo crossfader. Dual stereo crossfader, in fact, with CV control over both crossfaders, or the ability to normalize that CV and do other interesting weird things with the crossfader. So I thought we'd do a little demo through all of this, since that's one thing that I was definitely missing in, especially in the live set that I was setting up, was the ability to easily crossfade without having to use the performance mixer to get what I want. So let's do some sounds. I know that I've already got some stuff queued up from the live set that we can patch into here just for demonstration's sake. So, for instance, I know the Morphogene has some interest, or an interesting splice in it. So we'll put this into one end. So there is, for both sections, let's just look at this from the top. For both sections of the axis, there are blocks. So this whole block here and this whole block here. On one side you've got input A, and on the next side you've got input B. Input A has a left and right. Left is normal to right, as you can see by the arrow. Same thing with input B. And then there's a left and right out for both sides. Same thing on this side. This is the X one, which is, I believe, the first one. Yeah, and this is the Y one, which is the second crossfader. So we'll stick this in the first crossfader. Or, yes, the first crossfader. And we'll just go out in stereo from there. Hang on a second. Why am I getting no signal out of the modulator? Let's just see. 1 sec. Definitely should be getting signal out of the modular. Can't be that quiet. Oh, I should unmute the channel, you know, that would help. Okay. This might be a relatively familiar sound from the last live stream. Let's just turn it down. Right, so we had this last time, and in the live stream it was actually going out in mono, coming through the super ego and then going out. But this was a kalimba sample that we mangled the hell out of in Morphogene. But yeah, so crossfader wise, right now we're fully on that side, and it's nice because it has a VU meter as well, so you can see if you're clipping before you're even sending the signal in. And if you only have it on one side, of course, it really just acts as a fader. But the one thing that I like about this as compared to the performance mixer is that it's a very long and not exponentially scaled fader. like the performance mixture is so you can do a really, really slow fade, and you can really get it down to like just barely being there. So that's nice. Of course, the upper lights on this are indicate what side you're on in the general balance of things. Let's stick another sound in there. Let's see. What else can we do? What do we got in the simulator right now? Let's see. We had that birds, the solar ping that we were using. I don't remember what new 002 is. Let's load up a different project here, actually. Let's load up one of the DivKit drones things, because it's an easy example here. So, let's take chord L, which is on 5 and 6. Take those two out. Go into the right channel. Or not the right channel, the other channel of the Crossfader. And now, we just make sure that we make this one shot so it plays a little more, and maybe it's already on loop. Some adjusting on the levels again to try to get some of the hiss out. Apparently I've turned it up too much for theirs. So the problem is going to be it gets quite loud at that end. I actually don't know based on this thing if it actually is clipping. Might be. I don't know. If you're listening, let me know if it's actually clicking. But anyway, it's nice and subtle, although I probably would lower the volume. Let's actually just turn that down. Turn it down to 66. That I'm going to really enjoy with this Crossfader and enjoy with Crossfaders in general is that, so notice when I'm like almost entirely on this side, if I fade back to the other side, listen to the reverb too. With both these channels going into reverb, it actually makes for an even more sort of blended, blurred kind of sound, which is nice. Let's maybe take the other, find a chord one that's a little more in tune, maybe? Not that. Too bad that the loop is kind of like it's got a chunk to it, right? That's okay. There's only so much that you can get when it's a continuous train. Back to the other one. What about no. I don't want to mess with the sounds too much yet. Concentrate on the actual module itself first. So that's a basic function of a Crossfader, right? Everyone knows, probably has some idea guessed it, also another Crossfader. But this does have some cool stuff to it, for instance, which is this section that's up at the top. So there's two inputs in the switch. The inputs are CV control. This side is of the first Crossfader, this side is of the second Crossfader. The switch in the middle is interesting though. Right now when it's in the center position, it's broken the normal. When it's to this right side, then the CV that goes into X is normal into Y. Just the CV. So let's send some CV in there with a little trick that I actually picked up while I was doing the live set, which is that I did not realize, but I should have known, that tetrapad in faders mode, if you hold down the red button, and scroll until it's like pink, then you actually set a slew time. You probably noticed the LEDs going not instantaneously up, which is really nice, because remember in the live set I was using this to control resonance and a couple of other things for the drone. Being able to do that smoothly rather than stepped, although I wish it would go slower, was really nice. So we're going to use that to control the Crossfader, because it's nice to have smooth transitions on the Crossfader too. Okay, so take this, we'll feed it into the sides. So watch the lights on Axys. I think it's probably, I didn't really look, but it must be a positive negative voltage thing, I suspect. So let's get this into the double-sided fader mode. And we'll make it slew again. Alright, so now we're all the way on one side and we can transition slowly. Well, not that slowly because this doesn't go that slowly, but you can see it move from one side over to the other. So that's nice. They're linked, and of course, like I said, you can also remove the normaling, so you only affect one of them. The last setting that this has, which is to the left, will be more useful if I actually add another set of sounds here. So let's do, let's just do a couple of rings. How about that? We'll do a couple of ring sounds and fade between them. We're going to take marbles here, and we'll go into the strum and mult that to the other strum. And we'll just take it in mono, because this can of course also do mono. So we'll come out on one, go into input A on the left side so it's normaled. This camera, man, gotta figure out a solution to this. And into input B so it's normaled. Then I believe that it does a mono to stereo conversion, but I'm not 100% sure of that, so we're going to try it out in stereo and see what we get. Go into output 8 here. We're strumming. Let's put it on one that's, let's just put it on the continuous marbles for a moment, and maybe we'll give it a pitch. Let's give it a pitch too, just to make it a little more interesting to listen to. So we want marbles not to be in fully. We want it to choose some normal-ish pitches, and we'll put that into per octave. And mult that over as well. think it has something to do with this mode. I forget. I think when you have it on multiple polyphony, it sends something different out of even and odd. But anyway, so we should be able to. Well, actually, we've got a mixture of these two now. This should be one side. Well, actually, let's take the rolling off. This is one side. This is the other side. So let's put this in the orange. I forget which mode the orange one is. There we go, okay. They're probably not the most in tune thing right now, but at least you can hear the crossfade between the two. So now let's go back to being normalized. Crossfade between the two of them simultaneously with one CV control. But the other mode that I was talking about, and the other cool thing that you can do, is with this switch. So I'm in the right position right now, which means that they're normalized. The middle is where it's broken, and the left side is take the CV value that's coming in on X, invert it, and use that for Y. So now if you notice the lights on axis, they're actually inverted, so interestingly, I think this must have an offset on it, because they don't change at the same rate. That's what I'm looking at. I think that those knobs must serve as an attenuator or something like that. Excellent. That works very well. And considering how small this thing is, that's pretty excellent. There's a couple of other suggestions if you look in the manual of ways in which you can use Axys, doing things like you can use it as a panner. If you put a mono signal into input A on the left side and a mono signal into input B on the right side and an empty cable into input B, just like as a placeholder, then and then you take stereo out, it becomes a mono panner, which I probably wouldn't use because I can just pan in the performance mixer, but still could be useful. You can also do parallel compression through it, not that I really do that in this, but very easy to have a mixture of your compressed and uncompressed sound to do parallel compression with. And then what's the other example that it had in there? Parallel compression, the panner. Oh, and you can use the two of them together as like a wet dry plus volume. If you had an effect, you could send the pure dry signal into one side of the top crossfader, the pure wet signal into the other side of the top crossfader, so that you can blend between the two of them, and then send the output from the top crossfader into the input on one side of the bottom crossfader, so that you have the top one controlling dry wet blend and the bottom one controlling overall volume, because it would just be crossfading between your sound and silence. Seems a little bit overly complex to me. I don't know that I would necessarily do it this way, but I mean, if you think about it, what would be necessary in order to be able to actually patch together a set of stereo crossfaders? You would need so your left and right would come in, and then you'd need like two sets of controllable VCAs and some way to send an inverted signal from one to the other, so that you could actually it would get really complicated. And the fact that this is, I think, 4 HP? No, 6? No, I think it's 4. It's tiny anyway. It's about as big as the PM Mutes. Actually, maybe even a little smaller than the PM Mutes. It's a pretty versatile module in that respect, I think. I actually liked it better the other way. That sound matches that better. The sound matches this better. So this is going to supremely come in handy. Another thing that we could try with this, which might get interesting, especially if we leave this unnormaled, would be to drop things into different parts of planar. So let's try, I don't know, A and C. Think about making a patch that has multiple different drones that all sort of coincide with each other pretty decently. And then you put them both through this crossfader, control it with planar, if not even record stuff with planar for playback, fade between all of them in different quantities at different times. And it's pretty fantastic as far as I'm concerned, especially for what I want to be doing and being able to do stuff live a little more easily. This would be, in an ideal world, I would send planar out through something that lets me dynamically patch, so that when I'm in a patch, I can use it to control the balance between a bunch of different drones going on. And then I could change how it's dynamically patched. So it's not patched to planar, it's patched to something else entirely, and use that to like fully crossfade onto one drone only, and then I'd replace some of the signals coming in so that it can crossfade back. And I have lots of ideas, but I think it's gonna need so many switches. So many switches. I don't know where I'm gonna get the room for them. I'm gonna have to give some things up, I'm thinking, which is unfortunate, but you know, at least I'm learning what I need. But I'm not going to do anything else. I'm not getting out of any other modules until this damn TET finally fills this space. Finally. Oh my goodness. Moog Audio and IntelliGel. What the hell? Because I think TET's going to change my workflow a lot in terms of how I approach things. With having a bunch of storage voltage banks. I'm going to be doing, I think, as a result, I'm going to be doing a lot less manual tweaking to get the sounds that I want, and a lot more patching, sending voltages in, and using the CV ins to set things up where possible. Possibly like taking the CV in, adding it with an LFO or whatever to get something that's a little more variable, but that way I can sort of have like a preset save functionality. So yeah, lots of excitement when that comes in. I kind of like that with the drone, it's interesting. Though again, because the drone's coming in as soon as it repeats itself. Yeah, so the switch that I'm debating between right now is it's called a maze, and there's also WMD's sequential switch matrix. One is bigger than the other. The sequential switch matrix is bigger than the other. It sort of has more features, but it's lacking in VCAs, a bunch of built-in VCAs. But the maze is like impossible for me to get. Nowhere in the US has it in stock. The places in the UK that do are charging an exorbitant amount of money for it. I'm assuming because it came from the States, got imported to the UK, and then you're buying it back into the North America. And the sequential switch matrix will be easy to find. But then there is also this little guy that I found the other day. Let me bring this up. possibly with the expander. Wouldn't know if that's necessarily something that I want. But it's pretty nice. It's not as nice as the Maze, I would say, just because, like I said, the Maze has VCAs, so you can link together from in one, you can link that to the out one via this matrix, and then have a VCA in between to determine how much of the signal goes through. I'm not 100% certain whether the SSM can do it, so I'm gonna have to do a bit more looking. But then I also found the other day, where is this guy? This. I don't know if it just got released, but I barely heard anything about it. The Select, I guess. But this is actually nice. So 3 channels of switching, of manual switching. So you can actually select between 2 different sources if you want, for CV and audio, which is great. But I think that you can also use CV to do the switching as well. Saw a little small demo of it. It looked like this might be sort of also what I'm looking for, because not only do I need something that's gonna give me the opportunity to dynamically repatch, like to choose a preset of dynamic patching, like, you know, if I'm here using the sequential switch matrix, it has a bunch of different presets in it, so I could have like signals 1, 2, 3, and 4 going in a whole bunch of different places. It could be like I have a bunch of different triggers and stuff like that that are actually getting merged together into one, or, you know, things like that, and I could switch between presets. But also sometimes I would want to be able to just simply switch something on or off, or switch one thing at a time, in which case I think this, especially given its size, could be really handy. And I think that those switches there that they have are exactly the same as the switch that's in here, which I was worried about initially, and like I wouldn't want to go playing with this that much if I was trying to do stuff live. But that's less to do with the size of the switch and more just its position. Like it's sort of nestled in here with 100 other wires, right? But in the case of this, the switches are off to the top, out of the way of everything. So that could be useful. You'll probably find me doing more work on my modular grid in the not too distant future. And if anyone has ever actually ordered directly from WMD, since they seem to actually, unlike a lot of module manufacturers, they seem to have their own store. I'd be curious your opinions on how things have gone with that, because if I go with the SSM, it's a special order from any store here, which means I might as well order it from the States, because otherwise it's going to take like 6 months or whatever. Or yeah, if you have any opinions on the sequential switch matrix or the expander, yeah, please leave a comment, or if you're here live, which I don't think anyone is right now, if you happen to be, do let me know. I have decided, by the way, against most likely getting the channel expander for the performance mixer. The performance mixer has been good, but I'm getting actually really frustrated, especially from that live set that I did. I've been getting really frustrated with these faders. So, just for a minute, we turn off the reverb and just listen and watch the position of the faders. So I'm at 0 right now. And when I hit right around here, so with a good almost half of the fader length to go, like no signal. And I get that that's because this is supposed to more emulate like a real mixing board, but like, I don't know. It just feels like the curve on these faders is enough so that a lot of the distance is wasted. So the only other, let's just try one thing, since we're coming in, and we should try to be fully on one side or the other here. Let's go. I'm gonna jack the volume up here and just see how long we can really hear it for. Because the level light, just barely can see, the level light right here, this guy that's below the two lights, is showing there's volume. Yeah, like right now it's showing there is some volume coming through. I don't hear anything. I have to crank the volume on this so much that I get noise in the line to be able to hear anything. So what's the point of volumes that low? Like, I definitely do not get it. So yeah. But other than that, the performance mixer is awesome. I love having the aux sends, all this sort of stuff. And like the alternatives that I've looked at, like, you know, the hex mix. We've talked about the hex mix before on here. Great module, but like, you thought the performance mixer is used, the hex mix is gigantic. You have to have like the bottom and the top of your rack dedicated to it. So, I mean, I like the fact that it has EQ per channel, but I believe it doesn't have stereo channels either, so I don't know. It's just, not hugely happy with that, but it might just be that I need to figure out my gain staging a bit better. Because of course one of the problems with the stereo channels is there is no gain. All right. Yeah, so generally, I'm really happy with the Axys. Obviously, I haven't really had the chance to use it in anything yet, but this is exactly what I wanted out of it. Was a nice, smooth crossfade with lots of play to it so that I can do really, really slow ones if I want. And the ability to do some interesting CV tricks with it. So expect to see this going forward I wouldn't be surprised if this module is in everything that I do in some way or another, because if you've been listening to the channel, you probably heard how many times I've been like, God, I wish I had a crossfader that wasn't just the planar. All right. I guess that's another actual possibility for this crossfader is if I ever ran out of channels here and I had a spare crossfader channel, I could just send in a stereo signal on one side, nothing on the other side, and send it directly into the mixing on the performance mixer, and then then it would just basically be a volume knob and give me a full channel. I wouldn't be able to pan that channel or anything fancy like that, or send it to the aux stands or whatever. It's something. It's better than nothing. Oh yes. I am most likely going to get rid of this shifty. It just hasn't got enough use. I'm running out of space. I mean, of course, there are some things that I'm still going to do to free up space, like that ornament in crime is going to move up into a €1 and things like that when I have the money to do it. But yeah, I think that and I noticed from my usage of Shifty that more often than not, I was using it as an analog shift, or either an analog shift register or just as a manually triggered switch, basically. So it's not really what it's for. It's more supposed to be for like note hocketing and things like that. I haven't really used it for that often. Maybe 1 or 2 songs I've made that I've used it in, and I get the usefulness of it, but doesn't do enough other things for me too in my relatively small rack to kind of maintain its position, unfortunately. So it's probably going. And obviously Tet's going to go in here, and then the rest is just switches as if I got it. And then I'm pretty much, my rack is full other than I need to fill in some 1U spaces. The remaining 1U space that I have here is going to be filled with many more of these 1U VCAs. Super handy, these things. I mean, yeah, you can't tweak them manually yourself, but like, and they don't have like a particular, I think they're a linear response VCA, but I mean, if you need a non-linear response, then send a non-linear response CV into the VCA. I don't know, there must be something I'm missing there, but that's kind of where I felt. So I'm going to get at least 3 or 4 more of these. As I mentioned before, I'm ditching the Octolink because that really wasn't needed. I can't remember what else I was putting in here. Anyway, you should check out my modular grid. It's linked in my profile on Twitch, which has the current one that I haven't actually updated with the Axys, but it also, if you look a little bit further, it has my plans. Alright, well, I kind of accomplished what I wanted to for tonight, which was just to go over Axys, tell you that it's awesome, that if you want crossfading, you should get one, because I don't know any other module that does this much crossfading in this small space, while still being actually usable. Yeah, and considering I think a lot of people are busy tonight, there's no one actually around on Twitch, I'm going to leave it at that, and this will get uploaded to YouTube, hopefully useful for some people. So yeah, like I said, tomorrow the video for my first live set will be out, so yeah, let me know what you think. It's about 15 minutes, something like that, so not like a full-on live set, but for the first try, I think it's a pretty decent time. Yeah, and then we'll be back on Saturday. Most likely on Saturday I'll start up again, building up another sort of live set, and we're gonna this time try using Axys extensively to do some switching between those and see where that sort of takes us. Right, well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on Saturday. Y'all have a good one.